Hey, welcome back. We've made it to episode 7. If you're enjoying my series so far, make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video and give it a thumbs up. Okay, let's get into it. This episode opens with such a powerful and significant flashback. You don't even realize the importance until you get to the end of the episode. So the man that we see in the beginning in the flashback was the man the president was talking about in a previous episode that came up with the process to use the EMPs during the Cold War, which was used to disable all electronics, including nuclear weapons. This connects to the end of the episode when Cal was trying to figure out what option he would select, and this is the option he went with. The man in the beginning even mentioned, "I hope whoever has to face this in the future chooses right." We find out at the end of this episode he did choose right because people survived. So in this flashback, you saw him turning the light switch on and off. What he was doing was looking at the bomb replicas while flickering the lights on and off, basically showing his idea or concept of the EMPs knocking out the bombs. Whoever wrote this scene, unreal. Like, that was so well written. So the White House is looking a little chaotic. The news is on. A large wave is approaching Indonesia. Operation Versailles has just been put into effect. There's just a lot going on. So while this is building up, in comes this pulsating sound that happens throughout a majority of the episode. It really added so much texture to the scenes. My heart was jumping. You really felt what they were feeling, and it was like an immersive experience, so I really enjoyed that. This episode was scary, chaotic, emotional, heavy, but the writers brilliantly gave us some comedic relief with Dr. Lausch, who was one of the speakers on the TV. How funny was he? If you remember, he's the man from earlier in the season that we saw in a flashback warning Sinatra a tsunami was gonna come. He was on TV cussing everybody out and telling them, "I told you so." So that brought a nice balance of humor to such a heavy episode. The text start rolling in from Xavier's wife Terry. She's updating him on her flight status, which has been grounded. Xavier jumps into fix-it mode and tries to get a minute with the president, but at this point Cal is like, "Versailles a go, so let's go." He was so smooth with this, like asking people to watch his post and making moves to save his wife. I love that everyone was banding together to help him and make sure they got his wife to safety. During this, a woman news anchor on the TV was saying, she should be fine because she's on the roof and she's so many stories up. And then a sound wave came out of nowhere and she looked like she lost her hearing, everything. It was crazy. And then all this water came and wiped them out. Imagine being in that moment and something's coming and you can't do anything about it. Oh my gosh. We're introduced to Ryan and we find out he's pretty new. 2 days in and he's given a gun, so he definitely looks a little frazzled. They had their list prepared. They had the code word Versailles, listing the people who had access to go to paradise. Imagine not getting selected. Like, they have a list and they just go by that, and if you're not on the list, that's it. You're done. Like, that's crazy to me. So during this episode, the president takes to the janitor for some reason, and he keeps looking at him, and I guess he's realizing he's about to leave him and all these people to die. He tries to warn him about what's coming. The man basically said, "I've lived through so much already. Nothing can rattle me." And Cal's like, "No, this is worse than anything you've ever experienced." And the man just had this calmness to him. And to me, that was just him accepting whatever there is to come and being at peace with it. So at this point, the president is tired of lying. He wants to give a speech and be honest with everybody. And of course, the whole office is trying to stop him. Once he gives the speech, everybody's losing it, flipping out, seeing people still having to do their jobs in the midst of just finding out what's about to happen. Crazy. Xavier's phone's ringing. It's Terry, but then a fight breaks out and he drops the phone. Person went crazy and Secret Service shot him. Xavier picks the phone back up and she's disconnected. Like, imagine actually living that. The duality of him having one of the most important jobs in the world and taking an oath to protect the president while simultaneously trying to make sure his wife is safe, who you also took a vow for, and protect her. He's in such a tough position. The constant drop missed calls, waiting for a response, I could feel how he felt. His ability to navigate that and balance both was really good. So remember, we're in the middle of the Versailles. They're making their way down to the elevator and people are starting to get aggressive. They were warned by security and told to step back, but they didn't listen. So people got shot and it was a mess and it was like a domino effect and everything just went downhill after that. What was really chilling is the elevator closes and you still hear the gunshots, but it's so realistic, showing how people are in a time of panic and just in survival mode. What a scene. So they finally make it out to the lawn and People are screaming. There are gunshots. And the man that was holding the football gets shot. So Xavier has to run back, grab the football, and then run back to the helicopter. He comes back and Ryan has half his body getting into the helicopter. And Xavier's like, wait, there's no room for you. What are you doing? And Ryan's like, I'm going where you're going. And Xavier keeps saying, no, no, no. Ryan said it again. He's like, I'm going where you're going. And then he draws his gun and points it at Xavier. I gotta say it, you know it's coming. Be so for real. Be so for real. So Robinson, who was head of all of this, she was not playing around this episode, okay? Amazing acting, by the way. She shoots Ryan. Blood splattered everywhere. And Xavier's like, he wasn't gonna shoot. He wasn't gonna shoot. Are you sure about that, Xavier? Because it looks like he was about to take you out. That's what it looks like to me. If you think he would have shot him, leave it in the comments. Also, did Robinson have to kill him though? I'm gonna ask my husband because I can't think of the word right now. What are those shots called? Are they called like a warning shot? When you're not trying to kill somebody, you're just trying to like stop. Yeah, warning shot. What happened to a warning shot? Like she just completely skipped over that and was like, no, I'm gonna kill him. I've seen a few comments on this, so I wanted to talk about it. Was Xavier wrong for not communicating more with the woman press secretary, I think that's her role, that kept asking him for answers, the one that mentioned her son Edward and how he needed medication, and she made Xavier promise to take care of him? I could see it as wrong that he wasn't as direct as he could have been, but you have to think, at this time, everybody's worried about themselves and their families. I just don't think he had the capacity to worry about anything else, and I understand that. So things kind of come to a head when Xavier and Cal are on the way to the plane to get to Colorado. Xavier is blaming Cal, and I really thought Xavier was gonna swing on him. I'm not even gonna lie. He seemed so upset, and I feel like Cal in this moment was being super insensitive, and I know Xavier felt so helpless. You want to save your wife, but at the same time, you have to get on a plane to get to your kids and make sure they're okay. Cal did apologize on the plane, and he gave X another phone that could break through to a cell phone, so he tried, I guess. Speaking of Cal, should he have told the world sooner what was going on and what was coming? I think when it comes to the Xavier situation, he definitely could have been a little more direct, but me personally, you only got to tell me once. I don't need details. You don't need to convince me to not do something. You tell me my husband shouldn't travel somewhere, my husband's not traveling there. I'm listening right away. But in Xavier's case, he needed more directness, more clarity, I guess. While they're taking off, we actually see one of the other planes went down next to them. They mention that Congress is on it, which explains why we see Mrs. Evil, Sinatra, moving on up the ladder and having more power. So Cal is sitting in his office contemplating how to handle this best. And of course, Sinatra comes into the room trying to tell him what to do. I love this part. He told security, if she doesn't leave, shoot her. So this brings me back to the man I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the episode. Cal does exactly that. He chooses the blue switch, which disables all electronics and can stop nuclear explosions, which can set people and things back so much, but also actually give people a chance. So we get to what is essentially Xavier and Terry's last phone call. It's so emotional. Once he's able to reach her, he tells her he's in Colorado, which is great. She has the location at least, so that's good. We know that. He can see exactly where she is on the satellite and sees Atlanta is about to be hit, and then the phone disconnects. It ends with Xavier still pointing a gun to Sinatra's face. Sinatra saying it worked. The option to disable the electronics, that option worked. No missiles hit Atlanta, and Xavier is all torn up. He asks for proof, just like I mentioned I hoped he would, and she lets him hear a recording of Terry, and on the recording she's saying she's looking for her husband and her kids. At first I was like, is this AI? I think she may really be alive. I do. So this evil woman Sinatra makes a phone call in order to joyfully hand Xavier the phone just so he can hear that his daughter is missing. How evil. She also lets him know that the DNA is not from anyone from the bunker, it's from the outside. Do we believe that? Didn't Agent Robinson say a few episodes ago the DNA never made it to the lab? So what's going on with that? Something's not adding up. She was pretty forthcoming in telling him about the team that she sent on the expedition that were trying to bring people back, and so she took him out. I'm surprised she told him that, but she told him that. So it seems like she's telling some truths, some lies. She's all over the place. He doesn't care about none of that. He don't care about no DNA, nothing. He's like, Sinatra, where is my daughter? And Sinatra has him right where she wants him. She tells him, you will return my weapons, release my people, and find out who murdered the president. If you want to see your wife and your daughter ever again, that's what you're gonna do. Seeing her with that smug look on her face irritated me so much. He looked so defeated, and he's essentially back under her control again. So now Xavier is gonna have to figure out how he wants to play this. The question I'm left with, has Terry been trying to actually make her way to Xavier now that she knows where he is? Or is she more so just staying put and protecting herself and the people around her, trying to reach out through radio and communicate? We still have to figure out who killed Cal. We have to figure out if Sinatra's lying about that. Now we know that there are some people in countries that have survived. What are their survival modes? How is Xavier gonna get his wife back? I was on the edge of my seat this entire episode. The writing was phenomenal. It was exciting, it was emotional, it was tragic. This was definitely the best episode of the season. And we only have one more episode to go. There's no way though that all of this can be tied up in one episode, but I'm looking forward to seeing how they choose to end this. There will definitely be a cliffhanger for sure. But thankfully, I have the comfort of knowing season 2 is coming, so I'm okay. If you made it to the end of my video, thank you for sticking it out with me. Let me know what you thought about this episode and if there's anything you're looking forward to seeing in the finale. My name is Kamara. Thanks for watching another episode of Screen Diaries. I'll see you back here for episode 8. Bye.